how can someone tell if they're aging faster than they should?
Well, that's an interesting question, and it doesn't always add up with how you feel. You may feel like, man, I'm over the hill today, or I'm just tired, but it's not necessarily so. And really, the only way for us to tell is to do a DNA methylation. There's two ways. One is DNA methylation and checking the telomere length, the tips of the telomere. The other's a glycan age test where we measure glycosylated proteins, in other words, sugar-coated proteins. So the glycan age is one test we use. It's very accurate. It is dramatically influenced by hormone therapy. The other is the True Diagnostics True Age test, which is DNA methylation and telomere testing. So they're both very accurate, but that really is the only way to accurately know where we are. And with the techniques that we employ with longevity, anti-aging medicine, hormone therapy, hormone replacement, natural bioidentical hormones, we always see the pace of aging slow down. We want that less than 1-to-1. And we occasionally see someone where it's more than 1-to-1, which is not the optimal condition. We want to age slower biologically than we are chronologically. And when with the influence of hormone replacement, that's entirely possible.
What about for people that are struggling to get sleep at night? What would you recommend for them?
Well, there's a number of things related to sleep quality that negatively affect the pace of aging and your biologic age, because we need sleep to have a chance to build our own growth hormone levels. Secretion is increased at night to help reduce cortisol, a negative stress hormone. It's inversely related to your hormone levels. And so, when you don't sleep regularly, when you don't get 6 or 7 hours, there are a lot of people that 4 hours is pretty tough. So there's a number of things we can employ, from simple things like helping to restore natural melatonin levels to hormone replacement. Testosterone is definitely instrumental, I would say, in restoring sleep levels. And then for women, progesterone is almost magical. One of the first signs we see of progesterone deficiency in women even before perimenopause. I have young girls in their 20s and 30s, years before perimenopause and long before menopause, with inadequate progesterone levels, and they haven't slept well in years. And unfortunately, that is grossly underdiagnosed by those physicians not trained in natural bioidentical hormone therapy, hormone optimization. Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's normal for your age. Well, that's not necessarily true. And that's an answer you never really want to hear. And so you need to dig deeper if you've been told that, because progesterone in young and middle-aged women is magical when it comes to sleep.
How important is the loss of muscle as you're aging?
Well, loss of muscle mass as we age is really a big deal. It's from lack of hormones, testosterone primarily, human growth hormone, and of course it's related to many other factors, including exercise, how much protein is in our diet. Are we eating too many carbs and not enough protein? Makes it very difficult to build muscle, but with inadequate testosterone levels, is nearly impossible to maintain muscle mass. And so when we see muscle wasting with age, it's a very negative factor. It does not bode well as far as longevity is concerned. And so those are things that we know as we restore testosterone levels in men and women, that they are able to rebuild that muscle mass in the base. And so that's a very important parameter to watch.
Dr. Gershon, after spending your career studying regenerative and longevity medicine, what do you personally do to slow your own aging?
I do everything. I throw the kitchen sink at it. I do everything. I've been doing testosterone replacement for 23 years since I turned 50. I do hormone. I do all my hormones, DHEA, vitamins, nutrients, very rich diet. I'm physically active. Growth hormone. I take human growth hormone. I've used different peptides for growth hormone. And in many cases, a lot of the peptides work great for that. In my case, it wasn't enough. And so I just switched to human growth hormone. But optimizing hormone levels is the number one way to maintain muscle mass, help to slow the biologic clock, slow the pace of aging, and decrease inflammation. One of the reasons that we know that people and organisms live longer when there's less inflammation, and the silent killer, if you will. And so all of those things are a factor in helping to slow the pace of aging, reverse biologic age, and to extend lifespan.
Would you mind telling us how do you eat?
Well, yes, I follow a carnivore diet, high quality protein, veggies, and limited carbohydrates. And so there are more and more studies showing the benefits of a carnivore based diet, of keto type diets. My friend Ben Azadi, Azadi, has the book Keto Flex out. He's written another one, a newer one, called Metabolic Freedom. There's some great information there. It seems that the anti-red meat, camp 10 years ago plus is finally dissolving, and people are understanding and realizing that quality protein is what we were made to eat. I don't, preach my beliefs. I don't think you have to be vegan to be healthy. In fact, I tend to see more people that aren't as healthy because of inadequate protein and too many carbohydrates, it's just carbs turn straight to sugar. Sugar's the devil. So why would you do that? So anyway, that's personally what works best for me. Meat and veggies, pretty simple, pretty clean, organic vegetables, of course. We won't even start on the whole glyphosate argument right now, but it's in everything. And so, we want to constantly be working on avoiding excessive carbohydrates and grains, things that have been laden heavily with glyphosate. My daily regimen is pretty straightforward. I have a pharmaceutical grade vitamin line. I take multivitamins, CoQ10, DHEA, methylated B vitamins and folic acid, a nitric oxide booster, NAD+. I have a long list. I got another handful of vitamins I do in the evenings, but it's all because it's not the foods we eat, where foods are grown in nutrient poor soils. And so I do think it's important to supplement. I follow a high protein, low carb diet. Really, in my case, it's more of a carnivore diet, red meat, fish, chicken, and veggies, mostly green veggies. I stay away from carbs, as I mentioned before, because of the high chemical content of glyphosate in almost everything that's grown in America. So certainly I wouldn't eat any vegetables that aren't organic based, but then there's a lot of things that say they're organic that aren't. And so, unfortunately, places like Whole Foods, a lot of what they have comes from China, and you can be rest assured that they don't follow the same standards that American farming does. So you want to source all those things wisely.
So, is there anything popular in longevity that you don't do?
I don't think there's anything in longevity that I don't do. Well, I do high dose blood, ozone, blood purification. We just launched Therapeutic Plasma Exchange. I was the first patient for that, and I was supercharged when I finished that. And so that's something I'll do quarterly. I don't have any autoimmune condition or post-COVID, anything that I need for that. I did a treatment with exosomes this morning because I had a little left over after I treated a patient, and I'm like, hey, I want that. So, they have tremendous benefits for the immune system, immune function. They stimulate the microcirculation from your eyes to all your internal organs. So there's zero downside. I've banked my own stem cells 13 years ago. I do an infusion with my own bank stem cells once or twice a year, every year since, in addition to using exosomes as well. So there is not much longevity that I don't do. We use red light therapy. I have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber that as soon as we get out of our recording session today, I'll be in the hyperbaric chamber for an hour. And, everything that we do, every little thing helps. And so I don't smoke. I may have an occasional cigar, but alcohol's pretty much out the window these days. And so, we need to take care of the temple that we're raised in.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the plasma exchange? Like, what exactly does that do?
Well, the therapeutic plasma exchange is really exciting because it is, if you will, it's like an oil change for your car. It's taking out all the dirty plasma, and literally, the photos of me holding this big bag of several liters of plasma, it's almost shocking. It's like, are you kidding me? This came out of you? Like, yeah. And when you see the pure albumin that we're infusing while we're separating the plasma from the red cells, all the red cells say in your body, we remove about 70% of your plasma while we're instilling pure albumin at that, during that procedure. It takes about 3 hours, but it removes a lot of inflammatory proteins, autoimmune complexes. It charges the immune system. It really is an oil change for the body. And so that's been a very exciting addition to what we do. Just a month for the last month, we've been the only center in Colorado doing this treatment.
Is everybody allowed to do that, or do you have to have certain requirements in order to do the plasma exchange?
Well, we have a criteria. We do blood work ahead of time, and there's a screening process, a vetting process, if you will, to make sure that, there are some medications, certain blood pressure medicines that have to be stopped the day prior to a therapeutic plasma exchange to avoid hypotension. And so, we have some criteria that we follow to make sure that it's safe and healthy for people to do. And the majority feel great when it's finished. It is really a very rejuvenative treatment.
Is there any age requirements, or can anybody like 30s and up do it?
I would say, yeah, 30s and up really is fine for anyone. And, those kind of behavior patterns that may need more help from a little too much fun, too much partying, making not the best choices for a while. Yes, you need an oil change.
I know you do your Aspen retreat. Is there a way where somebody can just come to you and get all these different services done like within the week?
Absolutely. We have something on our website called the Ultimate Aspen Experience. And it's a 5-day program, a week-long, if you will, program from a complete evaluation, blood work. We also do at that time biologic age testing, hormone testing. We could do stem cell harvest and banking and treatment. We do facial rejuvenation with exosomes, scalp injections for hair growth, therapeutic plasma exchange, high dose ozone, blood purification, what's called EBO2. So we have many things that we can do. And my motto is really give us a week and we'll give you 10 years back. And that is really not an exaggeration. And it also includes 1 year of continued quarterly blood work, hormone optimization and adjustments throughout that year. So it's a pretty all-inclusive program that I'm proud to have developed.
How can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can go to our website, www.aspen-regenerativemedicine.com. Call 970-201-1332. If you've seen my book, Beyond the Fountain of Youth, you can also listen to our podcast. There's links to get to the website, to call us directly. I do telemedicine consults with people all over the world.